Now we are starting with the second part series of the Design of Structures 1 RCC CE 501, continuation of the first chapter itself. Now when we are looking at the reinforced cement concrete structural design, what is structural design? What are the things it covers? How we should be doing it? What are the methods to be employed? All those things will be covered in this particular unit. The structural design is carried out so that the structure has sufficient strength, stability, safety, serviceability, economy, and architectural beauty, architectural merit in it. It should have all these things at the same time. The structure so designed should be quite strong. It should have sufficient strength in it. It should be stable. It should not slide, it should not overturn, it should not collapse. So it should be stable. It should be safe. It should be safe for the users. There should be good serviceability. The occupants should not get scared using that structure. What I mean to say is, the structure should not have excessive deflections. It may not fall down, but if it deflects, if it bends, then it creates trauma in the mind. So, it should be having good serviceability. It should be economical because finally the owner pays from his sweat money. Now, it should be economical, and whatever architectural beauty has been planned for it, that architectural merit should not be compromised at all. It should be at the same time durable and should not bring about partial or total collapse of the structure at any point throughout its lifetime, that is, under the service loads. It should be durable. It should be durable, having good life, the planned life, and should not collapse. Maybe one unit, one member, or multiple members, or maybe the full structure. This is the main aim of structural design. This is the reason why we carry out the structural design. During the times of extreme overloading, such as earthquakes, fire, or wind loads, the structure so constructed, the structure so built should allow all the occupants to run to the safety within good reasonable time. The user of the structure should not be left to any discomfort due to excessive deflection, cracking, vibrations, skidding, etc. So whenever anyone is designing, he has to keep this in mind that the safety is prior. The safety is of utmost maximum importance, and the occupants should be allowed to move out to the safety within reasonable time. The structure should not have excessive deflections. It should not have cracks. Vibrations should be controlled. It should not permit skidding. All these things come within the purview of structural design. No doubt, any engineer who is designing the structure can design the structural elements very thin. Now, if it is very thin, it may be safe, but it may not limit deflection. It may still deflect. As I said earlier, it may not collapse, but it will go on deflecting. A person standing on such structure, when he finds that it is deflecting excessively, it would create fear in his mind. Also, the excessive deflection creates cracks in the thin slab. These cracks widen up due to the excessive deflection, these cracks widen up, and when the cracks widen up, there could be leakages, there could be corrosion of steel, and the slab could become very, very weak. Now, all these things have to be there in the mind of the structural engineer when he is designing the structure. Now, all these things should be applied to each and every element of the structure as a whole, so as to make it safe, durable, and economical at the same time. Now, there are different methods by which one can design the structure. The first and the earliest method which has been used in designing the structures is the working stress method of structural design. Let me tell you, this is the most easiest method of structural design, the working stress method. Now, this working stress method is based on the theory of simple bending, which we have already studied in analysis of structures and materials and structures earlier. So, continuing from theory of simple bending and fleshed beams, the working stress method of structural design was based. The main assumption in this method is that the structural material was restricted to be loaded within the linear elastic region only. That means when we look at the curve, the stress strain diagram for steel and concrete, look at the diagram given over here. The green one shows the stress strain diagram for steel, and the red one shows the stress strain diagram for concrete. Now, in the working stress method, only the linear region, the first portion, is used. So it is considered that the structure would be loaded in such a manner that the stress would not go beyond the first initial straight line, whether it is for steel or for concrete. So stress and strain is considered to be that straight line within the initial portion, that is the elastic region only, that has been shown over here in the diagram. Thus what happens is the allowable stresses, the permissible stresses, the stresses permitted on the members always remain within the linear portion or the initial phase of the stress strain curve. What is the benefit of this? The benefit of this is we know that whenever we have the stress strain diagram drawn in the initial straight line region up to the yield point, we know that if the load is removed, the material will bounce back again and regain its original shape and size. Its original shape, original size will not change. So that is exactly what we want. Our structure, our beam, our slab, column, or whichever element under the loading will be stretched. It will be remaining within this straight line region, that is the elastic region itself, and when the load is removed, it will gain or regain its original shape. Therefore, while carrying out the structural design, a factor of safety of 3 is added for the concrete cube strength, and factor of safety of 1.8 is added for yield strength of steel. Now these are applied, 3 for concrete and 1.8 for steel. So what we observed is that in the working stress method of the structural design, the concept of factor of safety came into picture. Now what is this factor of safety? The factor of safety is, we know the stress at the yield point in both the cases, that is for steel as well as concrete. So the stress at the yield point is known. This stress is divided by factor of safety, and that gives the stress which is permitted to come on the structure. Obviously, the stress which we obtain after dividing the factor of safety, is much lower, and hence we know that our design is within the safe zone. It would hardly cross the yield point. So that way we are always guaranteeing, we are always assuring a safe structure. Now the maximum limits of stresses are obtained by dividing the limiting stresses of the material by factor of safety, as I mentioned earlier. So that's why the maximum limits of stresses in M15 we find in M15 concrete, it would be 15 divided by 3, that is equal to 5 Newton per mm square. M20 concrete would be 20 divided by 3, that comes approximately to 7 Newton per mm square. Then M25, 25 divided by 3, which comes to somewhere around 8.5 Newton per mm square, and so on. So the maximum limits of stresses in M15, M20, M25, M30, M35, M40, M45 and M50 are obtained by dividing these values by 3, and therefore respectively their values would be 5, 7, 8.5, 10, 11.5, 13, 14.5 and 16 newtons per mm respectively. Similarly, the maximum limit of stress in MS, that is mild steel, is Fe250. It is called as Fe250. In Tor steel, Fe415 and Fe500. Now in this Fe250, the stress is 140 Newton per mm square. For Tor steel Fe415, it is given as 230 Newton per mm square, and Fe500 it is given as 275 Newton per mm square. The stresses in steel and the concrete were related by a factor known as modular ratio. Now this modular ratio is a term known to us from the last year, because the term modular ratio we have heard when we have studied simple stresses and strains in the materials and structure subject. The modular ratio over here is the connection, it's the connect between the steel and concrete stresses. It is defined by the equation, or M is given by the equation M equal to 280 divided by 3 times sigma CBC. Sigma CBC is the allowable stress in concrete. So knowing the value of sigma CBC, one can easily know the value of M. Having known the value of M, from the concrete stress, the stress in steel can be found out, and from the steel, the stress in concrete can be found out. The value of the modular ratio is not constant, but it goes on varying with the grade of concrete. We have seen that the equation for modular ratio is 280 divided by 3 times sigma CBC. So, as sigma CBC changes, the modular ratio also goes on changing. So, we can easily say that it goes on varying with the type or the grade of concrete. The modular ratio values for M15, M20, M25 and so on are 18.67, 13.33, 10.98 and so on. Let us do the calculations over here. For M15 concrete, the modular ratio equation is 280 upon 3 times sigma CBC. So that is equal to 280 divided by 3 into 5, where for M15 sigma CBC is 5. So therefore the value of modular ratio M becomes equal to 18.67. Another example, for M20, modular ratio is 280 divided by 3 times sigma CBC, that is 280 divided by 3 into 7, that comes to 13.33. Similarly, For M25, it comes equal to 10.98, and our observation leads us to understand that from M15 to M20, M25 and so on, if we go on increasing the grade of concrete, it is observed that with the grade of concrete, with the increase in grade of concrete, the value of the modular ratio decreases. Observe over here, it was 18.67. It has gone down to 5.83 for M50 concrete. Now there are some assumptions of working stress design method. Now these assumptions are exactly same as what assumptions we are using for theory of simple bending. A few more assumptions have been given over here. The most important assumption is at any cross section, plane sections before bending remains plane after bending also. See the beam on the right hand side. The sections have been shown in red. The section which was plane, the section which was forming a two-dimensional plane before bending remains a two-dimensional plane after bending also. It does not become curvilinear. The beam changes to a curve, but the plane sections before bending remain plane after bending also. Now we look at the cross section of the beam. There is steel shown in the bottom. The width is small b. The overall depth is capital H, and there is a small d, the dimension from the topmost portion of the beam to the centroid of the steel. What we understand over here from assumption 2. Assumption 2 states that all tensile stresses are taken up only by the reinforcement and nothing by the concrete, except otherwise specifically permitted. The assumption is very clear. All the stress, all the tensile stress, all the tensile stresses in the tension region are taken up only by the reinforcement. Nothing, no tensile stress is taken up by concrete. In few cases, it may be permitted. I would like to point out one thing over here, that we have understood that the tensile strength of concrete is about 1/10 of its compressive strength. Yes, it is about 1/10 of its compressive strength, but then when we compare it, it becomes very small. The assumption in the working stress design method makes it even more simpler. This small value is also neglected. So the concrete in the tension region is as if it is not existing. All this force, all the force coming in tension region is taken by the steel. The third assumption over here is the stress-strain relationship of steel and concrete under working load is a straight line. That we have seen previously, the stress-strain relationship of steel and concrete under working load is a straight line and is considered to be a straight line. In some cases it does not remain, but the assumption says it all. We are going to consider it to be a straight line and be working with that stress. The modular ratio M has the value M equal to 280 divided by 3 times sigma CBC, as we have seen earlier. So the assumption of the modular ratio comes within the first few assumptions itself. It is very clearly given the connect between the steel and the concrete, the stresses between them is through the modular ratio, which is given by 280 divided by 3 times sigma CBC.